You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s?
Handshake, he wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, neither would you. Neither would you.
Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 250 points in a game in the 70s.
I'll say this to LeBron. Has he heard of Julius Erving? Okay, Giannis is not as good as Julius Erving. Did Julius Erving, who played in the 70s, was on the Sixers in the 70s? Do you think that Julius Erving scored 250 points in a quote-unquote game or averaged 50 a game? Here's what I
think the 250 is a little. I think he's exaggerating, right? He's being a little bit hyperbolic, but at the same time, I don't know. I think the athlete Giannis is probably a different type of athlete than Julius Erving.
Mo Lucas, who wouldn't take nonsense for nobody. The first time that Giannis would go in the lane, he'd be knocked on his rear end. No three-point line, not a lot of up and.
Yeah, I love doing this too. Like, oh, they'll foul the shit out of you back in the day. Like, oh shit, so y'all win because y'all just fouled me more and it wouldn't get caught. 1, 2. Why y'all acting like these players not fucking 7 feet tall, fucking 250 pounds all muscle? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? He couldn't take a hit? What do you think? What are you saying? Like, a lot of those basketball players back in the day probably didn't even have the same muscular structure like these characters do have today with the speed. Like, all right, sure, you would have fouled me because you couldn't stop me. You think I can't take a hit? Like, what do you mean? These players not small and frail.
Down. Let me see Giannis against that team. Let me see him go out there and average 50 points a game. So that bothers me. When you bring up the 70s, my era, when I grew up, and I watched every game, night in and night out, to 3 o'clock in the morning. A lot of these finals were on tape away.
See, that'd be the problem. They be so enthralled. They be so encapsulated with their era, right? But 70s was so great. I remember that. Like, sometimes they have a hard time moving on and understanding, like, better product comes out, and they just can't. You know what I mean? You just psychologically you can't get off of the something could be better than when you loved it.
The guys who played in the 70s, Bill Walton, Kareem. Are you all these great centers? Are you nuts? Giannis is a great player. Nobody's going to say he's not a great player. But don't sit there and say that this is ridiculous to compare him that he's so much better than anybody in the 70s, because he's not. Steve, you know Julius well. He's not on this level. No way in 70s basketball. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to Wendy.
Is he not better than all the other motherfuckers in the 70s? Would he just be a regular guy in the 70s? What are we talking about?
What LeBron is referring to is the combination that Giannis is, that he's a 5-time all-defensive team, former defensive player of the year, and this year he's going to average 30 points a game for the 4th straight season. It's the hybrid that LeBron is referring to.
I agree. I feel like it's the whole athlete, it's the entire athlete. Also, just a quick point on that defense. I know people be talking about like it's no defense in the NBA today and da-da-da-da, and to an extent, it could be true. It is a lesser on the defense, but I just feel like these players today are so hard to guard. They're so offensively talented. Like the dribbling, like the dribbling has only gotten better with players like Curry, players like Kyrie in the league. Like, you know what I mean? Like the handles is just on another level, and they're not the only ones. Like, it's just crazy. The shooting ability is on another level. We got how many players or how many teams have a 7-footer or 6'10" to 7 feet power forward center that can like pull up and shoot it? Mobley on the Cavs. I mean, I know Tatum plays as a small forward, but a 4. He's like 6'10". He's shooting it. KD, Porzingis, like Al Horford. I'm just naming a whole bunch of Celtics players. Jokic. Like, it's a lot of people that's just like pulling up and just going crazy. Right? You got the little point guard shooting all types of threes and shit from as soon as you step across the half court line. You got James Harden who can shoot, who can drive. Like, that's another thing. You got these Shea, right? He can drive. He can hit these mid-range. Like, people are going crazy. And the list goes on. I'm not, you know what I mean? I can name more. It's like, bro, it's just harder to fucking guard some of this shit, man. Like, it's just insane the amount of ways a person can score today. Any position, too. So it's like, are we really not playing defense, or has the offense just gotten that much better?
Here's the problem with what LeBron James did. It's still disrespectful to the previous eras, and there's no call for it. And so when he does what he does on that level, that's him, passive aggressively yet again.
No. See, he's trying to take shots and he's wrong, and that's the problem. You wrong because you're going off of emotion. Here's the thing. You can't say my response to your disrespect is disrespectful. I feel like that's fair game. You can't sit here. You know how many times these conversations come up about these players today can't play in the league? LeBron specifically. Now you're talking about Giannis, whatever. Like, these players wouldn't be able to play back in the day. They would have, Charles Barkley would have knocked him on the air, or this would have happened. Curry would have never been able to drive to the lane, or da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's constant disrespect to these players. But when these players say, hey, I think they would dominate. I think they would be really great players back in the day. Oh, it's disrespectful to the era. Oh, you need to just mind your fucking manners. What are you talking about? Like, you do nothing but put me in those eras and talk about how it wouldn't be great. And God forbid I say, hey, I think I could manage in that era. Now, I know he went a little further and say I would dominate that era. What are you talking about? Disrespectful? Passive aggressive? What's disrespectful about that? You said I wouldn't be great. I said I would be great. I'm disrespectful? What the fuck is y'all talking about? This is the problem with the media.
And finding a way to take shots because inherently he has a problem with himself being compared to dudes from previous eras because folks talk about him. They talk about what he would have been. For example,
you just made my point. Y'all talk about what he would do in those eras and how he wouldn't have been able to live up. He would have got beat up. He would have got man, come on. But now he clapped back and he's being passive aggressive and disrespectful. Am I missing something? Am I really just fucking missing something? This is crazy, man.
Example, he's not my GOAT. He's Shannon's GOAT. He might be yours or somebody else. He's not mine. Why do I say that? Because the road to prosperity that he had to travel.
Why does that matter?
I believe going up against the old guard like Jordan and them.
We talking about Giannis. He found a way to bring it back to LeBron. We're talking about Giannis.
They would have stopped him before he learned how to win. I'm not talking about LeBron once he learned how to win. I'm talking about the LeBron that was absent prior to that person that showed up. And if you got to go up against a killer like Michael Jordan, and
he wasn't absent. Who the fuck did he have on that team, bro? Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Anderson Varejao, Anthony Parker, Jamario Moon, Boobie Daniel Gibson. Man, get the fuck out of here. Going against who? Rajon Rondo, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett? Are you fucking smoking? Going against those Lakers. What is wrong with you? You are supposed to be the analyst, man. You're supposed to have the knowledge of the game, but you're looking at everything through a biased lens, and therefore your takes are wrong. Give me the money. I'll show you what to do with it.
Others who would try to snatch your heart right out of your chest. I believe somebody like Jordan would have impeded his path. Nobody was going to impede Kobe. Nobody was going to impede MJ. Nobody's going to impede Duncan and people like that. But him, I believe he would have been impeded, which is why I have Jordan there. The previous eras are what enables you to be who you are.
So why don't you put Kobe ahead of LeBron then? If that's why you got Jordan there, why don't you put Kobe ahead of LeBron? You don't do that. Make it make sense.
The game evolved, and as the game evolved, and whatever they put in the food and got dudes growing to be 7 feet and run like that or whatever, you saw that kind of capability. It didn't exist in the world in the 70s or the 60s in a lot of people's eyes. Fair enough. But when Doggy brings up Bill Walton, have you seen Bill Walton play?
But why would you say that wouldn't be great back then? That shit is great today with all of the modern day technology and science and the robust training facilities and all of the shit that they're getting today. Why wouldn't it be better back then when none of that shit was accessible?
What you're doing is showing a disrespect that's sprinkled with resentment because you hate the fact that people are able to point to a previous era and talk about what you're not instead of...
Oh my God. Yes, that's the whole point. It's disrespectful because y'all point to an era and talk about how he wouldn't be good. And he's just saying, no, I think the players of today will be good. That's disrespectful. Man, y'all you got it out for LeBron. Your take's not even making sense, bro. You take a step back, listen to what you're saying, and then try to attack it again.
Appreciating what you are. That's what LeBron James did with that particular soundbite. I understand it, but
somebody you put number 2 you don't think could have played back in the day and been great? You put them number 2 and you think they can only play in this era? What?
It's still not fair to those from a previous era.
Filing motherfuckers all day and that's your claim to fame ain't fair. What the fuck?
That is right after us.
Be good.
No, I did not
Can't miss
come
that.
up with.
Can't miss that. I'm sure he had more.
Where the fuck is the talent? What happened to that? Why y'all always go, when these previous years, why y'all always go to fouling? We have fouled the shit out of you. We knock you in the jaw and punch you to the ground. And why is it always foul? Why isn't it how much talent you had? Y'all never talk about that.